Television is at its peak, with many transitioning over to the smaller screen, where money is now being thrown, and incredible shows emerging. However, with money comes better effects, meaning better villains and monsters alike. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scariest monsters from TV shows, part 2. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. Let's jump in. Coming in at 5, the White Walkers from Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was a hugely successful HBO show running for 8 seasons between 2011 to 2019. For the most part, we all watched Game of Thrones, whether the entire show or a series of one-off episodes consisting of some of the most emotionally scarring sequences to ever appear on TV. Yep, I'm talking The Red Wedding. Catelyn deserved better. I was never much of a fan of Robb Stark, so I have no opinions on that matter. Some things are better dead. However, the death of his wife and their unborn child is an image that I won't forget easily. Game of Thrones had the innate ability to leave viewers waiting with bated breath for the next episode to see who would die next, unexpectedly and tragically, or who would remain triumphant. However, the main baddies of the show were the White Walkers. They were teased all the way back in the very first episode of season 1, but it was the last few seasons that we finally got to find out how scary and powerful these monsters truly are, with the last season building up to an epic battle between the world of the living and that of the dead. So, some history on these terrifying monsters. The White Walkers were an ancient race of formerly human ice creatures who came from the far north of Westeros, and after remaining hidden for thousands of years, they return. Born of powerful and untested magic, they were created to protect the children of the forest from the first men, who had waged war on them ever since they arrived from Esso. However, they eventually broke free of the children's control and became one of the most feared creatures in all of Westeros, posing a threat to anything living. Worse still, they can kill and then resurrect the dead. Don't wanna f with these bad boys. In at 4, the Gentleman from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Even if you have never watched Buffy, you will have heard of the Gentleman. They are notorious for being one of TV's most terrifying monsters in history, and for a good reason. I quote, "Can't even shout, can't even cry, the gentlemen are coming by, looking in windows, knocking on doors, they need to take 7 and they might take yours. Can't call to mum, can't say a word, you're gonna die screaming but you won't be heard." How horrifying is that? So, history. Appearing in the episode titled Hush, the Gentlemen were a group of demons said to originate from fairy tales. They would roam from town to town seeking out 7 hearts they required to stay alive. They were served by a group of demonic footmen dressed in straitjackets who did all the fighting and muscle work for them. Now, what made the Gentlemen truly frightening are their appearance. They are bold, pale humanoids that never speak but are always grinning maliciously through metallic teeth. Wearing black suits and carrying satchels and scalpels, they don't walk, they instead hover above the ground, standing perfectly straight. They gesture to each other politely, kindly passing the scalpel during a heart extraction and applauding one another each time a heart is collected. They are perhaps some of the scariest monsters to ever appear on TV, simply because they remove our wonky sense when in need of help, our ability to speak, or even scream for help. Horrible. In at 3, Ethan Chandler, Penny Dreadful. Ethan Chandler is a sharpshooter existing within the world of Penny Dreadful, a show which brings to life the classic stories of folks like Dr. Frankenstein and Dorian Gray, exploring their origin stories in the dark corners of Victorian London. Throughout the show, we learn that Ethan Chandler, seemingly human, is in fact a werewolf, transforming into this frightening form at every full moon. Now, what truly makes this monster horrifying is that the show didn't rely upon special effects and instead used prosthetics to construct the character, taking approximately 6 hours in order to do so. In this form, Ethan has enhanced strength, agility, resistance, and wolf physiology, and can of course turn others into werewolves as well. Now, compared to some of the other numbers on our list, you may not find Ethan Chandler innately scary. However, in the context of the show, he is horrifying, with his transformation sending chills down viewers' spines. And of course, his kills are brutal, bloody, and gruesome to feast upon, making him one of the scariest yet greatest monsters on television. Trust. In at 2, the Demogorgon, Stranger Things. Oh, the Demogorgon. This bastard is scary, horribly scary. As we know, Stranger Things is a love letter to the 1980s and science fiction, with the series' primary threat being the monster, aka the Demogorgon, a creature that is clearly inspired by the era of Spielberg and Carpenter. Now, the monster originates from the Upside Down, and all the Demogorgons encountered thus far in the show obey the Mind Flayer and make up part of his hive mind. They are murderous, violent, and absolutely terrifying to look at. They are tall and thin, humanoid creatures with elongated limbs. Their heads lack facial features until it unfurls the flesh like a flower to reveal petals lined with many razor sharp teeth. They possess interdimensional travel, strength, telekinesis, blood detection, regenerative healing, and durability. We were of course first introduced to these monsters when a science experiment breaches the Upside Down, releasing the creatures who begin to murder the residents in the small town of Hawkins, Indiana. It is a cinema-worthy creation, and the perfect opponent for the telekinetically gifted 11 to face off with in the first season. Side note, they also just recently introduced Stranger Things to the game Dead by Daylight, allowing you to play as or go up against the Demogorgon. I can tell you, it is truly terrifying. And finally coming in at number 1, Pennywise the Clown from It, 1990. Now we're talking the original adaptation of the frightening Stephen King novel. Yes, I can include this because the original It was actually a 2-part ABC miniseries, and is of course one of the central reasons why people are so terrified of clowns. Fact: for those living under a rock, the story revolves around a group of kids living in Derry, Maine, who are all under threat by a murderous interdimensional predatory life form known as Pennywise, a shape-shifting monster who takes on the form of each of these children's worst fears. Now, Pennywise is portrayed by the absolutely astounding Tim Curry, who managed to traumatize all who saw the show, children and grown-ups alike. Now, it originated in an undiscovered void containing and surrounding the entire universe, the Macroverse. Now, the reasons behind its actions is that it feasts for its own survival and satisfaction, and then typically lies dormant for 27 years, returning once again to feast. It is of course a predator of humans, but prefers children, which is one of the prime reasons it is so damn terrifying. Most importantly though, it desires to consume those it has made terrified of itself, implying that it enhances the flavor. It will manipulate the children of Derry in order to eat, aptly displayed at the beginning of the show and film when poor Georgie is sailing his boat down the stream before it sadly falls into the sewer. Enter It, who manipulates Georgie and then pulls him down into the drain where he eats him. In the 1990 series we aren't shown too much, however in the 2017 movie it is horribly gruesome, especially knowing you are watching a child get mauled and eaten. Now his appearance is that of a clown, which is what makes him the most unsettling, considering clowns are typically related to happiness, joy and laughter. However, Stephen King destroyed this depiction by creating one of the most terrifying villains in history, making our views on clowns very different today. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any scary TV monsters that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 3. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 scary things found in deserts. Son of the Dawn 515 said, none of these things are scary. Well, Son of the Dawn, it's okay to be wrong. Sir Justin Clan of the Blackwater said, and I'm convinced that Lucy is the fifth element. That is 100% correct. The movie The Fifth Element is based on my life. Fact. Sora Stalker said, hi Lucy, waves furiously. Hi Sora, waves furiously. Dan Klaus said, Queen Lucy is the GOAT. Honestly, best day of my life. Never been called the GOAT. Dreams do come true. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.